You're listening to the Telltale channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media: Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. The next article I wanted to take a look at is entitled 4 Takeaways from the Final Day of Questions in Trump's Impeachment Trial. This is on the Washington Post. The article is by Amber Phillips. It was released January 30th. As of the moment that this is going public, was just a few days ago. So let's read the 4 takeaways here. Here's takeaway number 1. Democrats almost certainly aren't getting the 4 Republicans they need to call witnesses. We now know that they did not. That came out in the news. Just to give a little bit of background on how this operates, basically, all right, so most people know this. I'm just going to explain it anyway so we all have the baseline knowledge. Okay, there are 3 branches of government. There's the executive branch, which includes the president and any offices under the president. The military is included in the executive branch. And then we have the legislative branch, which includes Congress. And Congress is made up of the Senate and the House of Representatives. And then we have the judicial branch, okay? The judicial branch is the Supreme Court and anything underneath the Supreme Court. In an impeachment situation, the House of Representatives, which is made up of, at this moment, I believe, 438 House members. And it's split up into different districts. Each state has a different number. I think my state of West Virginia has 4 districts or something, so we have 4 different House members. Each state has a different number of House of Representatives members, but each state only has 2 senators. So there are a total of 100 senators, and at this moment, it does change from time to time. I think it's 438 House of Representatives members. Right now in the U.S., the House of Representatives is controlled by Democrats. There's a majority of Democrats in the House of Representatives, but there's just barely a majority of Republicans in the Senate. I think 51 Republicans, and there are 47 Democrats, and then there are 2 independents in the Senate. Bernie Sanders and Angus King from Maine are independents, but they caucus with the Democrats. So for all intents and purposes, they're considered Democrats, too. So 51 Republicans and 49 people who caucus with Democrats. In an impeachment situation like this, what we've got is the House of Representatives. They vote on whether or not to impeach the president. And impeachment means we're going to move forward with a trial. And if during this trial the president is found guilty of the charges, then he is removed from office. So in the trial, we have the Senate, who basically acts as the jurors. The Senate pretty much is the jury. But the Senate controls how the trial plays out. They controls who the witnesses are, if they even have witnesses, and all the other stuff. The Supreme Court acts as the judge, except the Supreme Court's really only there for, like, procedural stuff. They're just there to kind of make sure order is kept. The Senate really does control everything in the impeachment trial. So as I said, there are 51 Republican senators, and the rest are either Democrats or independents. There was a vote recently as to whether or not they were going to allow witnesses to speak at the trial. And the vote was basically no, they're not going to have witnesses, which is extremely bizarre to me. Why is the jury deciding what evidence they want to hear? How can they know if it's legitimate evidence or not until they hear it? It's just a really, really strange, bizarre situation. Well, the end result was they need a majority. They need a majority, 51 senators to vote to get witnesses or to block witnesses. And there was one senator, one Republican, who broke ranks and voted to have witnesses there. Every other Republican senator voted against having witnesses. The one who voted to have witnesses was none other than Mitt Romney, the Mormon. The Mormon who ran for president. Dude hates Trump, honestly, interestingly enough. Gotta have respect for the guy for that, but I will still do whatever it takes to keep him out of office, any office, because he is the political wing of the Mormon church. It's just not good. He is a toxic member of the political body because he's so heavily entrenched in the Mormon church. In my eyes, I want him gone. Like I said, got to respect him for voting for witnesses, but it is what it is. So the point number one, Democrats almost certainly aren't getting the 4 Republicans they need to call witnesses. They did not. We know now. Point two, all eyes are on John Roberts. As I said before, John Roberts, he's the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. So he is kind of keeping the peace and making sure everybody follows proper procedures in the impeachment trial. But that's about his only role. Let's read the article here and see what it says. So what if there's a tie in Friday's vote for witnesses? Could the Chief Justice break it by casting the deciding vote? That debate has been bubbling over the course of the Senate trial among academics and pundits. Now it will boil. For example, law scholar Frank Bowman argued in SCOTUS blog earlier this month that Roberts can cast the tie-breaking vote in this case. He's the presiding officer of the Senate, and when the vice president performs that function in regular Senate business, they cast a vote. But there's no consensus on that. Some legal scholars agree with Senate Republicans that a 50-50 vote simply means the motion failed. It's not even clear who will get to decide whether Roberts gets to decide. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican from Kentucky, who's basically controlling the trial. Roberts in his role as the presiding official or the Senate parliamentarian. Could the Senate vote on whether to allow Roberts to cast a tie vote? As I said before, basically it was blocked. Having witnesses at the trial was blocked, which I think is complete bullshit. I don't care if it's Bernie Sanders on trial right now. It does not matter to me. You need to be able to remove somebody from office who is acting tyrannical, even if it's Bernie Sanders, anybody. And hearing the evidence is part of that process. They're not even listening to the evidence. What is wrong with this political system? It's broken. I want to move to Canada, seriously. You know, when I was Jehovah's Witness, there was this whole thing where they were all like, oh, you shouldn't leave no matter what. Don't ever leave. You can work out your problems, fix the problems. It was just, if you left, you'd be punished for it. You'd be shunned, you'd be hated, you'd be spit upon. That was the very last thing that you could do, is leave. Well, I'm not buying it anymore. I'm not a part of this bullshit anymore. I'm not a part of religion anymore. And I don't believe in dogma where I have to stick around no matter what. I don't have to ride anything into the ground. If something is wrong or broken, I can leave with a clear conscience. I'm not going to be shamed into staying in this country because patriotism, blah, 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 whatever. I don't even care. If it's corrupt and crooked and disgusting, I should be allowed to leave. And I'm going to one of these days. I'm moving to Canada. That's my plan. So saddle up, Canada. Here I come. The whole thing disgusts me. Anyway. Let's continue on. Point 3. Trump's defense still hasn't answered key questions about his intent. When did Trump first pause the military aid to Ukraine? And when did he start talking to Ukraine about investigations into the Biden family? Those are 2 key questions Republican senators asked of Trump's defense on Wednesday, and Trump's lawyers had no answer. White House Deputy Counsel Patrick Philbin acknowledged that there is no evidence of Trump having talked with Ukraine officials about the Bidens before Joe Biden entered the 2020 race. Understanding when Trump paused the aid and when he first became concerned about the actions of Biden and the former vice president's son Hunter in Ukraine would go a long way in proving or disproving Democrats' case that the president abused his power. After having a day to think about how to address these questions to key votes on witnesses, they didn't have any new answers. And here's the final point, point number 4. Rand Paul's attempt to publicly out the whistleblower. Why do they need to know who the whistleblower is? He's so completely irrelevant at this point. He could have gone away completely and it wouldn't matter. We have tons of evidence outside of what the whistleblower said. All the whistleblower did was draw attention to this issue. That is it. Now we have the testimonies of all kinds of different people. John Bolton, Gordon Sondland, is that his name? Sondland? Marie Ivanovich, I think her name is. Vindman, Bill Taylor, I think is another. Am I up to person number 5? Did I name 5 people? Why do we need the name of a whistleblower? It's so irrelevant. Literally all they're doing by trying to publicly out the whistleblower here is putting a man's life in danger. That's what they're doing. They're putting somebody's life in danger. Why? Why are they doing that? Why are they trying to put this person's life in danger? I don't understand. They should be put in prison for that. This week, Trump's legal team evolved their defense of the president in the direction of, so what if he did do it? As they did, some Trump allies escalated their efforts to undermine House Democrats' case in ways other than directly disputing the evidence. On Wednesday, Senator Rand Paul, Republican from Kentucky, sent a question to the desk of the Chief Justice, who did not read it aloud. On Thursday, Paul tried again, and again Roberts refused. In the question, Paul mentioned a name that some media outlets have reported is the alleged whistleblower. We know what was in it because Paul left the trial after his question was batted down and read it in full to a room of reporters. It's extremely honorable of the Chief Justice to not read the question. The guy is an extreme Republican, Chief Justice Roberts, and was appointed by George Bush Jr., I believe. So he's got some extremely questionable views and ideas and beliefs on things, and has made some really horrifically terrible decisions in Supreme Court cases. But holy hell, is that respectable for him to not read the name of the whistleblower like that? Rand Paul, my question today is about whether or not individuals who were holdovers from the Obama National Security Council and Democrat partisans conspired with Schiff's staffers to plot impeaching the president before there were formal House impeachment proceedings. Eventually, another Republican senator's question of whether Schiff's staff engaged with the whistleblower before he filed his complaint was read aloud. Schiff angrily called it a smear. Schiff's committee did get a heads up about the existence of a whistleblower complaint before it got filed, but there is no evidence Schiff was working in concert with the whistleblower. Schiff has repeatedly said he has not met the whistleblower. Now, I don't know who the whistleblower is exactly because none of the shows that I watch will say the name. I heard it was Vindman. I don't know if that's true or not, but either way, it doesn't matter. The whistleblower is completely irrelevant. All of the other testimonies are what matters at this point. The thing that the whistleblower said was like second and third hand and totally irrelevant to the case. Could be totally thrown out at this point. It would not make a difference. Members of this body used to care about the protection of whistleblower identities, Schiff said. They didn't used to gratuitously attack members of committee staff, but now they do. I think it's disgraceful. Whistleblowers are a unique and vital resource for the intelligence community. Couldn't agree more on that one. It's extremely disappointing what's happening right now.